I'm really pleased to welcome Jake Vernum as our guest. Before we talk to Jake, let's see some examples of his work. Well, that looks fantastic, Jake. So tell us, what have we just seen? What sort of things were on that piece of video?
So most of that video was a mix of shows that I've been a lighting technician, a lighting designer for, and then a mix of stuff that we've ran the site power for, particularly Lovebox Festival. So projects that I've been involved with on slightly different roles as project manager, lighting technician, lighting director, lighting designer.
Great. So my notes tell me that your title is Freelance Senior Project Manager for Pierce Hire, and you also run your own business. So tell us a bit, if you can, about, so what do Pierce Hire do?
So Pierce Hire are a leading supplier in the UK for temporary event power, stage lighting, audio, rigging, draping, generators, for the live event sector, whether it's touring, concerts, festivals, corporate events, parties, school productions, from all across the live events sector, really.
And you're based in the east of England, which is great. You're based locally.
Yeah, Peterborough. Yeah.
Okay, so freelance senior project manager. What does that actually mean, or what do you do? Can you tell us what do you do on a day-to-day basis? What's a day in the life of Jake like?
So I run projects on behalf of Pierce Hire, although I'm freelance. So what I do is I run the same sort of level of and quantity of projects as the full-time employed project managers. But I also look after some independent projects from my own business, which is artist production management. So on a day-to-day basis could be anything from coordinating logistics, booking crew, designing lighting systems, designing temporary power systems, quoting jobs, meeting clients. It can be a bit of a mixture, really. One day you could be in the office from 9 to 5, or one whole week, to be honest, you could be in the office, and then the next day you could be on site, and the next day you could be hanging lights, the next day you could be on a tour bus in a hotel. So it's quite varied, really. A lot of time in the office, but also a lot of time on site, whether it's coordinating or running projects, to be honest, managing crews.
That sounds really good, because actually a lot of variety in what you do, clearly.
Yeah.
Now, one of my questions that I'm asking all the guests is, was there anyone specifically or anything that happened that inspired you to pursue a career in live events or technical theatre? Is there any, why did it happen, do you think?
Well, I'm a bit of a different story to a lot of people, I think, in the fact that I've very much followed my father's footsteps, because he's in the business. So I've been around live events, festivals, concerts very much since I was in a pushchair. So probably before I was walking. And to be honest, although I went and studied mechanical engineering after school, I've never really looked away from wanting to do this as a job, or certainly working in festivals, particularly festivals and concert touring is always what I've wanted to do. And although I could go off and do something else, I've never really seen myself doing anything but this. I don't really want to be passionate about it, and I really enjoy doing what we do. So it's I've been very lucky with the opportunities I've been given, but certainly my father is to blame or to thank even for where I am today. Obviously, I've also earned my own way into it. So from being involved in it through my father, it's I've been inspired myself by certain elements of the business, and that's kind of decided
That sounds great.
where I wanted to be.
So many young people, maybe young people watching this video, won't know exactly what they want to do. Many young people don't know exactly what they want to do. And it seems like you had quite a clear idea of your future. But tell us a bit, so what did you take at school? What happened at school for you?
Well, I was, although I had a clear idea of what I wanted to do, there was still a brief moment of confusion about that when I was at school, because I was torn between school training in this sector, but I also had a heavy interest in engineering. So what actually got offered to me when I was at school was, as part of my GCSE years, the year 10 and 11, I was offered to do an MVQ course 2 days a week at the local college. So I actually, instead of going down the conventional routes of either construction or science, maths, and doing more than your core English, maths, science GCSEs, I did engineering for 2 years, which made my mind up about continuing to train in engineering. The MVQ that I did led me on to a further 2 years of a BTEC in mechanical engineering at college. And it was at the end of the BTEC where I'd made my decision that I wasn't going to continue to pursue the engineering stuff. I was going to go into the live events courses at the university. So I went on to uni to study music management and live events, which was a course a very broad course that covered all of music management, from sort of record deals and artists and publishing and mechanical royalties and law, and right across to live events and production and touring and festivals and health and safety and site management. So that's what I did at uni. But my college course actually paid dividends when I was at uni, because a lot of those skills were transferable, particularly the maths, the AutoCAD skills that I'd gained at college were second to none at university, going into a course in events. So
that sounds great, Jake. That sounds really good. You were lucky.
Yeah, I was very lucky to be selected for that course at school. Very lucky.
So it sounds like your career is really exciting. I know that there's no such thing as the perfect career. So what are the sort of barriers that you've faced, or how do you keep yourself motivated on maybe a bad day? What is it that keeps you motivated?
I mean, in my position now, in my role, I'm 9 times out of 10, I'm responsible for getting the job done. So whether we're having a bad day or not, I have to get the job done. So there's my motivation to a point where, because although some of the other crew, if we're all having a bad day, they don't necessarily have the concern that I have, because my role is to keep the client happy, and if the job's not finished, then the client isn't happy. So it's easy. My motivation's easy because that's part of my job role. But also it's very rewarding. You know, if you're working on a festival and yeah, you spend the last 4 days of the build in the pouring rain, it's quite hard to be motivated, but you know what's around the corner, essentially. So I know that if we're having a bad build because of wet weather, or the client's moving things constantly and we're doing things twice and it's putting us behind, they're going to open the festival at some point. So all of that will stop. So we're motivated to keep going until the end, until we're open. And then once we're open, although there's call outs and maintenance and things we have to do, we get to sit around a little bit and not so much enjoy the festival, but enjoy the atmosphere, and have a few calmer days before we then go into taking it out, etc. And that's the same in anything that I particularly do. I'm particularly lighting and power based. So at some point there's a show, and whilst the show's on, things calm down a little bit. And I mean, sometimes you can stand on a stage in front of 40,000 people, 20,000 people, or however many thousand people, and you look out, and that's the motivation there. That's where the buzz comes from, and you know that you've played your part in making that happen.
What's fascinating about that is that many young people talk about wanting to be in an exciting industry, wanting that notion of celebrity or fame. And I talk about the iceberg principle. So above the waterline, there are people who are on that stage or in front of a camera or on performing. But actually what you just said is interesting, because you do get some of that excitement, but actually you don't get presumably you don't have the fickleness of being chosen or not chosen to be a performer or a star or whatever. Is that true? So you do get the excitement of being part of this, but without the sort of the pressure of being on stage?
I mean, speaking on my behalf, for me, definitely. I definitely get a kick out of what we do. And when the show's happening, I mean, it can be quite challenging to get some of the sizes of show that we do up and running, quite demanding, particularly when you're working on multiples of them at the same time to run consecutively across months, weeks, years. So when you get to that point and you've put that effort in to make that happen, for me, yeah, I definitely get excited by it. And I mean, there's kind of a saying in this industry that where we, like, I don't really feel like work is work for me. I make a living out of doing what I love. So yeah, sometimes it feels like work, but sometimes it doesn't. And
that's a really good
excitement is when
I think with previous guests, many of them have said that the ideal is when you really love what you do. And I think probably it's something that we should bear in mind when we're looking at future careers. So I was going to ask you a question about the industry, and I think probably people have the impression that tech it's a blokey sort of thing, that it's male dominated. Is that the case, and does that have to be the case?
I think if you were to go to do a show and you were to line all the crew up, then yeah, it would look like it's male dominated. I certainly think that it doesn't have to be the case, and I have had lots of female crew members working on my teams over the last couple of years. You get a lot more female local crew nowadays as well, which is great. But unfortunately, it is more male dominated at the moment.
So how do you think? So young people watching this who maybe want to break into your part of the industry and are female, what should they be doing? I mean, what should happen to try and make this change?
Well, I certainly think when I select crew that I'm not looking at whether someone's male or female. For example, I have a pool of crew that I use, and the way, yeah, I have top end crew that I would take everywhere, and I have lower end crew and different categories: electricians, labourers, middle of the road, bit of both, good lighting technicians, middle of the road lighting technicians, you know. And when you've got 20 or 30 projects on in a business across a couple of months, they're all different dates and overlaying dates, then you have to work out how to balance that crew and how to make sure that all the jobs have got the right crew on for the right job with the right level of skill. Now, when I'm building that pool of crew, for me, it's all about experience and personality. So whether you're male or female, for me, doesn't really come into it.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. Can I ask, what sort of personal qualities do you think you need if you want a career in your sort of field? What personal qualities do you think is required?
I think the biggest one for me is that you really need to be a team player. trying to work. This is a big team effort to do what we do. Certainly in festivals are a big one, but particularly in concert touring, it's a machine. It isn't just installing a lighting rig and taking it down and doing a show in the middle. It's an oiled machine. It has to work in conjunction with rigging, audio, video, backline, and it's a system that all has to slot together. And if you're not a team player, then it falls down somewhere. So, like, for example, the lighting company needs to know that the trusses need to be flown up in the air by this time, because not because they're told that's what the case is. They need to understand that the team that's coming in behind them needs the 2 hours free. So if the lighting company goes, oh, well, we don't really care about the next guys coming in, then it doesn't work. And then everyone starts getting pushed back hour by hour by hour. So it's really important as a team player to understand everybody else's role.
That's good.
And likewise on a festival, you know, we can't install a 40,000, 50,000 capacity festival with just me. You know, I need a team of 10 to 12 electricians underneath me that need to work as a team. They all need to get on. They all need to go out and do what they're told to do, and told who they need to work with. Essentially, they don't get a choice.
So it strikes me that team playing is absolutely essential.
Absolutely essential.
One of the things that I was going to ask, because we're in a very difficult time currently globally, and I know, because we spoke earlier, that PSR have been involved in something which I was surprised about, not to do with the entertainment industry, but how did you help in the effort for coronavirus?
So PS Hire are lucky enough to do some work with a local marquee contractor. They're actually quite a big marquee contractor, GL Events. We do a lot of electrical installation, lighting systems for them over the year anyway, whether it be events or non-event stuff. So they were asked to build marquees sort of up and down the country for various projects. We did some NHS Nightingale stuff, where we went as a power contractor in to install lighting and emergency lighting into the marquees. We also did some things for Amazon up and down the country, where they had extra staffing facilities built outside in the car parks, again in marquees, so lighting and power in those. Basically.
So we wouldn't have thought that, but in fact there were ways you could help. No one knows how things will go in the future. Young people watching this may well be not at college, not at school. And what top tips might you offer them if they're currently not able to work or to learn at college? Any advice or top tips you might give them?
I mean, if you're not at college or coming from an educational route, but you want to get into what we do, one of the best ways to get into it is to get yourself on the local crew sort of circuit. So you could email a local crew company, whether it be Showforce or Stage Miracles or any of those guys, and then what that is it's an injection into live concert touring festivals, and what you do is you come along as labour. So for me, I would say I'm going to build this lighting rig, but in order to build it, I need 10 local labour people, males, females, whatever they are. And then you're injected into the industry, and if you're good, and I see that you're good and you're capable of more than pushing boxes, and you know what you're doing, I can see that you're hanging lights well, the chances are that somebody will ask you to come and work for them at some point along the way. The other thing that you can do if you are skilled, and it doesn't matter what your skill level is that you can directly email companies and say, this is my CV, this is what I've done, I'm still learning, I'm capable of doing this, I can use this console, X, Y, Z. That would then circulate around to us, and we go back to that pool of crew that I was talking about earlier.
That sounds good. So actually be proactive.
Be proactive, basically, yeah.
Jake, thank you very much. It's been great talking to you. I look forward to talking to you in the panel discussion later. Thank you.
Thanks very much.